few days ago from Europe. I went to Vienna in Austria. I did 2 organ recitals, and then I went to Bucharest, my hometown, and I did a concert at the Cathedral of St. Joseph, where was my home parish, and I went there. I grew up. I used to be the organist, the music director before I came to New York. On the way to New York, I stopped in Paris for about a year to do a master in organ performance at the Conservatoire in Paris before coming to New York. So, and now since 1987, I formed a group called Vox Amadeus that Brenton is one of my pillar singers, tenor, and I really love to have him in my group. He's an amazing singer and very organized with music, and sings perfectly fine, every note. And we have a concert series from September to June, and we just finished our 38th continuous concert season in June with the beautiful program of Vivaldi.
Wow.
We do Bach, we do Mozart, we do Messiah, Handel Messiah, 4 performances in December in different places in Center City, the Cathedral of St. Peter and Paul, and also in the suburbs at my parish church of St. Catherine of Siena and Wayne. So, this being said, I thank Brent for inviting me tonight here for me to play for you some piano. I started to play piano when I was 3 years old. That was a long time ago, last century. And I went to the Academy of Music in Bucharest, first as a pianist, and then as an organist, and then as a conductor. And so, then Paris, I continue as an organist with 3 very famous French organists. Then in New York, I was a organ major and a choral and orchestral conducting major. So I love to do this kind of little soirees to play for people like yourselves. I hope you'll enjoy as much as I will to play for you to listen. So as I said, thank Brent for inviting me tonight very much.
Thank you.
This is first time that I've been here. Actually, it's first time that I've been to Kennet, and because of that, I missed a little street that off of Baltimore Pike, so I had to go twice around to find the Maiden Lane or whatever it's called that turn right and so forth. So anyway, so here I am. So I'm going to play a sort of a variety of pieces. I'm going to start with a Italian composer by the name of Benedetto Marcello, and a Tommaso Albinoni Adagio. It's a sort of a combination of little pieces that I'm going to start with that. Then I'll tell you as I go along what I'm going to do. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me, and I hope you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, we were hoping at the end that would be, if that was okay with you, to have some questions for time permitting. Just a couple of housekeeping things. Ross is going to be around. Maestro Valentin Radu wants me to turn pages on a number of songs, so I can't really help if in an event that you need to use the bathroom, in an event that you need something. So just Ross will be here.
If you need me.
And there's bathrooms on that side, and then if, obviously if there is an emergency, we'll take care of it, stuff there. But like I said, it is an honor to have Maestro What?
It's freezing cold.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do right now because the thing is locked. So it is what it is. We'll talk about that next time. I can't do anything about that. I'm sorry. So yes, it is an honor to have Maestro Valentin Radu, who is a wonderful Romanian conductor, pianist, and it's such a privilege that like the first time I met you was at filling in for Paul at your church. And I had no idea the background of the Vox Amadeus or the background of you, and we have been friends for a number of years. I've sung in Vox, such a great group of friends, and just wonderful music, the classics, the Bachs, the Handels, the Beethovens, the Renaissance composers like Mozart, yeah. And so I wanted to have him come here because I work for Vox and I also work with you all, and it's really an honor to have such a famous conductor, pianist who is world renowned, and such an honor to have him. So if you have any kind of things that you need, just make sure you talk to Ross because I'm going to be a little bit busy with the Maestro. So can you give him a hand here? Then we'll have some time for some questions at the end. So I think it would be good to play the recital and then have some questions. Yeah, thank you. And I just have some water. I have the water right out here.
one of my favorite Romanian folk songs, which is called Mochorița. A little bit more, not, okay. Can you read it? This is by Beethoven, a very famous first movement of the Moonlight Sonata.
And this is Gloria's favorite piece.
I love it.
I don't know if people will recognize this is, I'm gonna jump composers and styles, okay? This is Mozart. It's a very famous Turkish march. one of my favorite slow movements by Beethoven from the famous Pathétique Sonata. Chopin. Chopin was, when I grew up mostly as a pianist, he was my favorite composer. Then as I was growing older, I started to sort of understand Beethoven, and then Mozart, and then I was mostly loved romantic composers, Debussy and Rachmaninoff, and I played with the Bucharest Philharmonic Orchestra many many times, both as a pianist, excuse me, and also as a conductor. However, I never really started to like Bach until I started to play the organ at the Cathedral of St. Joseph in Bucharest. And of course, Bach is most famous for his organ. He was organist in various churches in Germany. But as opposed to other composers of the Baroque, Bach never ever left his country of Germany, which is interesting. Handel went to London. He became the musician of the court of the King George I. Then he got in trouble with King George I, and he was exiled to Ireland, where actually he wrote the famous Messiah oratorio that was premiered in the Cathedral of Dublin, and was premiered on a Good Friday, as opposed to what most Americans are used to have to listen to Messiah for Christmas. But as you may or may not realize, probably some of you know, Messiah has three parts. The first part is called the Christmas portion, Christmas section, and then comes the Passion, and then that ends with the Hallelujah chorus. And speaking of that, a funny story that maybe people may not realize, they probably know that tradition that when the Hallelujah chorus is about to be performed, usually myself included, turn around to the audience and have them stand up. This is why. Because the tradition goes that the King of England, King George II, so he came back, King George I died, and was followed by King George II, who both of them, by the way, are of German extraction, which is kind of very interesting. And so King George II called Handel back to London to become his court musician. And in London, he did sort of an upgraded version of the Messiah, which we do all the time here in Philadelphia. The Covent Garden, what is called, version of 1749. And at that performance, King George II was notoriously late for events. So he arrived at the performance in Covent Garden, that he was, of course, invited and honored and blah, 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 at the time when the chorus and orchestra was about to start the Hallelujah chorus. Now, as you know, what people do, the subjects, when a king enters a room, they stand, right, to honor the king. Well, so everybody stood up when the king arrived, and they performed the Hallelujah chorus standing for the king, in honor of the king. And since then, ladies and gentlemen, the tradition has continued, and it's still present in today's performances. So now you know the story why people stand for the Hallelujah chorus. Maybe none of you even knew that happened, but now you do. So anyway, why am I saying about Handel? Because Handel traveled in Europe as opposed to Bach. Vivaldi, another huge Baroque composer, he was from Venice. He grew up there and composed there. He first became a priest. Because he had red hair, he used to be called Il Prete Rosso, the red priest. But then he, for reasons unknown, he gave up his priesthood, which is kind of very unusual, very unusual. Almost as unusual as Pope Benedict that resigned being a pope, as you may remember, some of you may know. I don't plan to resign or to retire. So I plan to die on the podium, thank you, of a glorious death, which I hope will come very, very fast, and somebody, my concert master, will continue and finish the concert, right? Maybe
I knew you wouldn't retire. I know. I know.
Anyway, so Chopin, moving to Chopin, which I'm about to play a couple of his famous preludes. He was a Polish composer, pianist and composer, and he left his country of Poland and moved to Paris, where he spent the rest of his life, which was not too long. Unfortunately, he became very ill and died at age of 39. Yes, and so I love Chopin. He's fits with my soul very well, and you'll hear why. You don't know my soul, but I hope you'll know a little bit more of my soul when you hear these beautiful preludes. He wrote 24 preludes for piano. I'm not going to play all 24, but I will play maybe 3 or so for you to enjoy. They are kind of different, and they're all very, very beautiful. So if you want to close the eyes and dream, that's perfectly fine. Since you know how I look like, you don't have to watch me at all times. Just kidding. All right, so here we are. This is prelude number 4 in E minor. One more short. Now we're moving to a fellow Austrian composer of Mozart, who by the name of Franz Schubert.
It's all good.
Okay. And he wrote this, 4 impromptu. Impromptu in French means to improvise. And so these are kind of improvisations that Schubert was making, and then his audience, just like me here with you, loved it so much that one of his pupils asked him, insisted actually, that he writes them down. And so he did. So he wrote 4 of these impromptus, and I'm going to play for you the last 2, which are my favorites. And Schubert, by the way, also lived very short, even shorter than Chopin. He lived only 31 years. And of course, as you also know, my dear friend Mozart also lived short time. He lived only 35. And of course, as some of you know, as he was lying on his deathbed, he was asked by a very wealthy Viennese businessman to compose a requiem that was going to be performed for his wife's funeral. So he started to write the requiem, and he never finished it. He wrote only a few movements, and he passed away on 5th of December 1591 at age 35. And again, a student of his, Frank Xaver Süssmayr, on Mozart's sketches, he finished the requiem and was indeed performed at this man's wife's funeral. So that's a kind of interesting story. So here we are back to Schubert and his beautiful last 2 impromptus. Are we running out of time?
No, you're good. Don't worry about running out of time. We're good. We're good. Just real quick, and then we'll have a. How about Maestro Valentin Radu? Give him a hand. Real quick. Just one of the residents, please. Sure. Okay. Sure. Smile. At the
Everybody
camera,
smile.
everyone.
Molto miest from us.
Very good.
I have one
Sure. Just
short thing.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't need you. This is a little excerpt from one of my favorite piano concerti by a Norwegian composer by Edvard Grieg. And this is his one and only. He only wrote one piano concerto in A minor. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm going to play just a couple of excerpts that I kind of improvised. All right, so enjoy. to come back before I retire. As I told you, I don't plan to, so it's in trouble. All right, thank you all very much. It was a great audience. All right,
Thank you.
have a beautiful night.
Thank
So we have time for a few questions. Sure. So we're just going to have a few questions, if any, and obviously let me know if you need to leave. But we obviously, when we have a special musical guest, we always have some time to have some questions or comments. It could be comments. So yes, Jeff.
You compose?
Do you compose music?
I only improvise, and eventually I'll decompose.
Great question. Great question. Anybody else has a comment, a question? I know you, Irene. She was very was in
I love
lots
the
of
way you play from the heart.
Yeah.
You don't sweat the small stuff. The music comes through.
Yes.
And I just wish we could have met when we were younger.
Irene, tell her about your musical background. She's a very big orchestra background. Tell them about your background.
I was a cellist, orchestra and solo.
Oh.
And I in the Bach suites, I said, don't count, just play them. You said you had trouble with Bach.
Oh.
And so I loved your playing.
Yeah.
It
Thank
was
you.
sweet. It was just, you got the music across.
Cellist in a bunch of orchestras over the decades.
In
yes,
Europe and
yes, for sure.
in America.
Okay, anybody? Thank you, Irene. Thank you. Yes, Eileen.
Would you marry me?
Came a little too late.
A little too late.
Too bad, sorry.
Yes. Wonderful. Good. Anybody else? Any other comments, questions? I might have a few for the maestro here. Yes, Klaus. Klaus.
My mother was a pianist and singer in Germany during the 30s and the war and after. And I always was taught to, inspired by my mother. And she traveled all over.
I was inspired by my mother. I started piano because she was an amateur pianist.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I know exactly. But then she drove me nuts. Made me practice 8 to 10 hours a day. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's too much.
Yeah.
Too much. But I have fond memories because she traveled all over in Czechoslovakia and Hungary and so forth, and played and performed. And
So she was a concert pianist?
yes.
Oh, wow.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. And but she was of the wrong political orientation.
Oh.
Those days.
So was I. That's why they threw me out of Romania.
Oh yeah, I know. And but I remember her, and when I see the passion in your performance here, your work here, I greatly appreciate it. I remembered also by my mother and by many women composers and musicians who did many good things to help the people. You know.
Great.
Yes,
Wonderful.
I just wanted to say.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate your comment. I do.
A lot of very famous 19th century, like Clara, Amy Beach and Clara Schumann.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of those wonderful composers, absolutely. Anybody else? I knew you would recognize "Summertime" when he played that.
Oh,
the
I
George
recognize
Gershwin.
it
I knew that
immediately.
one.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Well, it's summertime now, so
Yeah, it's a good time to play.
that was the time to play that.
Karen.
I used to play the Greek concerto the last time you played.
Really?
Now I know how it was supposed to sound.
Oh, wow. Yes, Karen was also a pianist. We had a few pianists too.
That's a very nice compliment. Thank you.
Yes.
I enjoyed it immensely.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that. I played that a few times with the Bucharest Philharmonic.
Wow.
Yes. So I love that piece.
Very good. Anybody else? So I might have a few questions just to answer. So why did you start into music? What was the inspiration?
My mother.
that your mother was.
My mother was. She was an amateur pianist. She was a professor at the University of Bucharest. She was of English, German, and French. She was quite a remarkable woman that actually she became the first woman rector of the University of Bucharest, which is one of the oldest and most famous universities in Europe.
Wow.
Yes, and she was not a professional pianist. She was just a very good amateur pianist, and she inherited that from my grandmother. I think we have an ambulance arriving.
Don't worry about it. Keep talking. I'll find out what's going on. Stay here.
Okay.
Should be fine. We have help. We have nurses here. I think everybody's fine.
Tell them I feel fine.
Good. Keep talking, and I'll find out what's going on.
You were
Thursday,
supposed
I'll
to
be
ask
back.
me some questions. Anyway, so my mother, as I told you, and we had a upright piano in our home. And here's a funny story. When I turned 1 on my first birthday, we have a tradition in Romania that at the birthday party for whether a boy or girl, they bring a plate, usually, if it's possible, a silver plate with few objects on it. And the child is supposed to look and pick one of the objects of the table. And that supposedly is going to be what the child is going to become.
Yes.
So they brought this beautiful silver plate, usually a beautiful thing which normally hangs on the wall. And I looked and I looked and I looked, and I didn't pick anything. In fact, I was a rebel back then because I took the tray like this and threw it off the table. Why? Because I ran over and I started to play on the piano.
Oh.
No kidding. That to me was what I love to do.
Yeah.
So here I am doing the same thing. So, go ahead.
So what led to, obviously you got piano and then you went to America. So what led to conducting and what led to Vox Amadeus? This is the question I wanted to ask was, so how did you go, because obviously, you know, I started out as a singer and then I played piano in college and then I did conducting and now I do a whole bunch of stuff. But what led for you? For me, it was my master's degree, like opening up. I was conducting groups, but then, but I really, it wasn't until I didn't study conducting until I was, after completing my first master's of singing, I was like, well, maybe I could do a second one in conducting. So how about you? So what led
I'll
to
tell you
Vox
a short story which is
Amadeus?
rather amazing. So I was an organist at the Cathedral of St. Joseph in Bucharest, as I mentioned earlier. And we had a fabulous chorus, and with Vatican money, with Catholic Church, they got, for special occasions, money to have a orchestra. So here was on Holy Thursday, I was practicing the coronation mass to accompany the choir, because we had an amazing choir conductor who was very famous in Romania, one of the most famous in Europe actually, and who left a week before to go to West Germany. Back then was the East Germany and West Germany, as you may remember. And so it was afternoon of Holy Thursday. I was practicing some preludes and postludes and the accompaniment on the organ of the Mass. And Sister Elizabeth comes up to the organ loft and says, I'm sorry to bother you, but the Cardinal wishes to talk to you. Now? Yes, now. So I went to see him in the Archbishop house, which was next door to the cathedral. We're actually very good friends. He had a great deal of admiration for me and so on. So I went up to his salon, and he said, can I give you some cognac? He loved cognac. I said, okay, sure. Because I'll have some too. I said, great. So we both have cognac, and then he shows me a telegram. Do you remember the days of the telegram?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And so he said, read. My hands are shaking. So I read the telegram, and the telegram was from Andreas Porfetti, who is the choir director of the cathedral, and the telegram says only, wishing you all a holy and blessed Easter.
Okay.
Okay, so I looked at it, I said exactly that. Okay, so he looks at me and says, are you stupid or just pretend to be? I know you're very smart. I said, I'm sorry, Your Holiness. What is it that I'm supposed to understand? The damn son of a bitches has defected to Germany,
Yes.
and we have no conductor tonight. And you are the new conductor of the orchestra chorus of the Cathedral of St. Joseph. Any questions? Thank you.
Oh my God.
So, talking of cold turkey, talking about baptism by fire, whatever you want to call, I knew the Mass obviously very well. I have never conducted it in my life, you understand? So I get up in front of 120 singers and an orchestra of 40 in the big balcony of the cathedral, and I'm conducting. So this is how my conducting career started.
Wow.
So after that, obviously, I studied in Bucharest and then also at Juilliard and so forth. Now speaking of Vox, Amadeus, is that I started this group. It's composed of 3 groups. The first one is the Renaissance group, which we perform in Renaissance costumes with a small group of Renaissance instruments. And all my life I wanted to have something like that. Why? Because I grew up in Bucharest going to concerts of this amazing chorus called Coro Madrigal, magical chorus of this amazing choral conductor by the name of Marin Constantin, who I actually studied choral conducting with him, and all I wanted to have something like that with costumes and so forth and so on. But I couldn't have that in Romania. So I had to wait until I came here. Did I upset them?
No, you're good. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay,
Keep going.
okay.
How many, I have a question. How many years after the
I'm
old
sorry?
after the old conductor defected to the West and you took over, how many years did it take you to yourself come to the West?
Well, I met in Bucharest a very beautiful young lady that is actually from Berwyn, Pennsylvania, that came on a Fulbright scholarship to study voice at the Academy of Music in Bucharest. And back then they used to give Fulbright. Now they only give half-bright.
Yes,
So,
so it was later.
so she came over, and we met on the day when I turned 20, and we met on the hallway at the library of the Bucharest Conservative Academy of Music, and we met, and I invited her to come that night to the Bucharest Philharmonic, where I was having my debut as an organist with the 5 toccatas of Bach, and she came and she brought me 20 beautiful red roses, and she gave them to me on stage. I knelt down and thanked her, and then a few months later, on the 4th of March, we had a terrible earthquake in Bucharest. Terrible. 8.8 on the Richter scale. Huge destruction and so forth. So I thought my family all perished. I was with her in a park. And so the whole thing was shaking and so forth. So I thought, I have nobody left except for her. So I knelt down and I asked her to marry me.
Oh, wow.
So then we applied for marriage approval because it was Communist Ceausescu, all that you couldn't just marry an American. So you had to ask presidential approval, which of course he first denied, but my future wife's father was a consul under Richard Nixon at the White House with few connections. So anyway, and Ceausescu was coming to the United States to visit President Carter to get the most favored nation status. And the night before, he signed 9 approvals of Romanians with Americans to prove that he's big on human rights and blah, blah, blah. And one of them was us. So we got married, and because of that, I was able to come to New York. And then
that was good.
I could talk to you for a whole night, but I think I hope
It's
you
all
enjoy.
fine.
And so I started Vox as a Renaissance group in 1987. Then 4 years later, I added some singers and orchestra and called it Amadeus Ensemble because it was the bicentennial of the death of Mozart in 1991, 1791, 1991. And we actually started with the Requiem of Mozart and the Coronation Mass. And then 5 years after that, I added another group called the Camerata Amadeus, which performs with period instruments, Baroque instruments, and so forth. So that's how it is. All right?
That's
And,
great.
Yeah.
Brent is a proud member of the tenor section of my group, and I am very grateful to have him in my group.
Yes.
So thank you.
Remember that Renaissance costume I showed you? That's in his group. The Renaissance. Remember when I said, "Hey, why are you wearing tights in that Renaissance?" That is because we sing the Renaissance music twice in the year, once in December. Yeah, and really, Vox Amadeus is one of the most glorious groups in Philadelphia, in the southern eastern Pennsylvania place. I mean, it's really wonderful, and there are recordings of Vox Amadeus I have to show you. In fact, that Mozart Coronation Mass we're doing at the Kimmel Center, I think in November this year. So, and we got we're going to do the Requiem next Good Friday. We've got a lot of great pieces. So, 2 more questions, and then I think I'm good. So we have a lot of people here. Some are from a classical music background, and of course, Vox Amadeus is known for the early classical music, right? So the Baroque and some classical and Renaissance music. So for people who might not be of a classical background, I've always opened your eyes that, hey, classical music is very much important. And it's very important to study the history of how Mozart wrote music, how Bach wrote music. So for someone that might be kind of, the people who might not really like classical music as much as like popular music, what powers, why is classical music so important even today? Why should we listen to classical music? And I know you gotta. It's a tough question, but I think it's a very important question as to how important classical music is today, even today.
Think about this. The word classical is, in itself, speaks for itself, that it's still going. Think about some of the genres that are being performed, like, rag and rap and may or may not survive. But Mozart and Bach and Vivaldi will always survive. Now, why is that? Because it combines the heart and the soul with the mind. It's like a triangle. And in fact, tonight, I think you listening to the different things that I play for, different composers, different styles. Some of them are very soft, some of them are very loud, very, but all in all, I hope it touched your heart.
Yes.
And for me, my whole life, I live to touch people's lives, to make them happy, to uplift them. In this world where you turn the radio, you listen, you read newspapers, all black news, wars, blah, 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 bombings, terrorism, and so on. So look at what I do through my group and through my, music. And what I do, that's why I also played a little of the Gershon sonata, to show that even that's not classical, but yes it is, in some ways. In fact, Gershon wrote in a classic way.
Yes.
All right, so my answer to Brent is just that. Remember, it's classical because it's forever. It's a bridge over troubled water. It's brings people together.
Yes.
It's not the left. It's not the right. It's we are all listening here in this room.
Yes.
I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, independent, pagan, Christian. You are here to enjoy this. What more can be said about the beauty of music?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
I'd like to say
good.
something.
Last question, yes, you have a question?
I
Joe.
just want to tell you, when I listen to classical music, most of the time I have my eyes closed, not because I'm sleeping, but because whatever the music is, it's like I'm rolling with the waves.
Yes.
I'm dancing with the stars.
Yes.
I'm up there.
Yes.
I just thoroughly,
Beautiful.
it just touches my heart. And I
Ah.
really
Yes.
feel it.
Remember I told you before I played the Chopin preludes?
Oh,
I said,
yes.
close your eyes
Oh.
and just transport yourself,
Right.
because that's exactly
Oh,
what
yes.
I wanted
Yes.
to bring you tonight here.
That's what you
Yes.
did for me.
So I've been talking about friends, so I've been bragging about you all to Maestro, that I built this program from scratch. So we have some musicians here that are from a classical music background and some that have never done music before. And we built up a choir. We have 15 members in the choir, and we just did a concert. We're working on a Broadway concert of some Rodgers and Hammerstein songs. And I teach some of you piano lessons and some of you voice lessons. So what inspiration. Now, these are very good amateur senior singers, essentially. They're very good, and they love music, and they love inspiring. So what advice, encouragement would you give to someone who is considering piano lessons or is taking voice lessons right now? They might not do the Mozarts, the Vivaldis, and the Bachs like we do, but they can inspire music the way they can sing, whether it's a choir or even people that just listen to music. So what's your advice for the musicians here that are maybe in their 70s, 80s? Lillian is 104 and still loves music. You're 104.
Right.
And Gino is very much into Italian opera. Grazie, bel canto, Italian opera, right? So, like, we have a variety of things. You come from an Armenian background. Greg, you've attended many operas before. Gloria loves, the Moonlight Sonata, because that meant a lot to you. So for anybody that's learning music right now through voice lessons, piano lessons, or the choir, or even the musical coming up in December here at Friends Home, because we got a grant of $10,000 to put on a Christmas musical.
Wow.
And so we're going to work on that. So what advice would you give to, perhaps residents that are interested in being in music in a good amateur way?
Well, first of all, to paraphrase you basically answered your own question. Really honestly, and he's a great guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great guy. This is a facet that I didn't know of his many facets and many things he does in life.
Yes.
This man never sits still.
No.
He travels everywhere and does so many things, which is very, very remarkable and impressive, by the way.
Thank you.
I have to tell you. And tonight it's a different aspect of his things, and he just told me tonight that about this activities that he started his program from scratch, and he got a grant. He's going to do this and the other thing. I think it's wonderful, but I can't add anything after what he just said, because all he said is exactly that. And I encourage you to, first of all, to be nice to him, okay? And even if you're in the bad mood, just
Would be
smile.
nice. Would be nice.
Just smile and be nice to him, because he means well, and he brings you joy, and he brings you all this that music does. And I hope that you are going to do that, and to continue to take some piano lessons, or to sing, or to in the choir, or whatever, and so forth. Because as I just mentioned before, think what music does. Music brings all of us together and uplifts us.
Yes.
And gets us over the troubles of the black news and the bad news and everything else and so forth. All right, so please do that. Please do that. And God bless you. Thank you so much for being here
Thank you.
tonight.
All right, Maestro, that's what we're on to. Thank you.
Great
So he's
audience.
here to, yeah.
Great audience.
We're small but mighty, I like to say. Thank you. He's here to chat. If you have anybody, we're going to open the doors now. Friends Home residents, you're going to exit that way, not those doors. That leads to a dead end. You want to exit that way. Linden Hall, you'll be exiting this way, and he'll stay and chat. Any questions, comments, let me know. And thank you for coming tonight. I know it's late. God bless you. Thank you. I've been looking forward to this one for a long time. And
Oh,
I know all about
there.
Yeah.
one other thing, another Vox Amadeus important person. Of course, no one can take the place of Maestro in Vox, but we also invited Paul Marcassano, who also works for Valentin, who's a wonderful singer, who's a wonderful arranger of music, and a wonderful tenor as well, and pianist and organist. And he will be here next month in July. We will also have Delaware Valley Opera Company coming here in July, and they will do a concert. I can't remember who the other one is. They'll come to me, but we have a lot of music things coming up. In fact, in August, I just talked to someone who has a big history in Jewish synagogue music and history. And we'll have that in August. And we had teach a class on Gershwin and his background of the jazz. And so lots of great people, but don't forget Paul Marcassano and all the others. We will certainly have you back, absolutely. Maestro Valentin Radu. And it's so good seeing the two worlds together, because I've known him for a number of years, well, 4 years now, and I've known you for over 6 years, and bringing the two worlds together just warms my heart, because I do this with
A round of applause for Brent.
All right, thanks guys. He's here to chat. I just wanted to make sure, don't forget Paul Marcassano next month, okay?
Okay.
And a lot of great things. God bless. Thank you guys.
See you, Mary. See ya.
All right.
Take care.
Good.
I love your pretty nails. Oh, thank you. I'll just be.
Yes, and yours.
I'll take my stuff. Yeah, he left. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah, we're done, guys. Thank you.
Beautiful. I see you tomorrow, probably.
All right, thank you guys.
Okay.
Friends, home residents that way, Linden Hall this way. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go say hi to the Maestro. Thank you.
He's good.
Thank you for coming out tonight. I know sometimes you're like, I don't know, but come out to stuff, because I really try to pick some of the best people besides me at the time to come, so they inspire you and inspire you, Janice. All right, so thank you. You two are very important at Linden Hall.
Bye.
So, just come out. That's my goal. Get this place a little more liven up a bit. All right, thank you guys. Thank you.